November 25th, 2025, Richard Branson opens Instagram and types the words, "No one ever wants to write." Heartbroken to share that Joan, my wife and partner for 50 years, has passed away. 80 years old. Gone. The Virgin Group founder shares a photo of the woman who stood beside him through it all. She was the most wonderful mom and grandmom our kids and grandkids could have ever wished for. She was my best friend, my rock, my guiding light, my world. Love you forever, Joan X. No cause of death, no details, just heartbreak. But just days before, Richard posted something that now feels like a goodbye. 1 week before her passing, Richard shared a photo, him kissing Joan's head, her smiling, peaceful. Everyone needs a Joan in their life. The day before she died, another post, just 5 words. Love this photo of Joan. In July, Joan turned 80. Richard's birthday tribute thanked her for standing by his side through the highs, the lows, and all those quiet, peaceful moments in between. Looking back, these posts feel different, like he was saying goodbye while he still could. So who was Joan Templeman? And how did a working-class Scottish woman become the quiet force behind one of the world's most famous billionaires? Joan was born in 1945 in Glasgow, Scotland. Her father was a ship carpenter, one of 7 siblings in a working-class home where hard work wasn't optional. Glasgow in the 1940s wasn't glamorous. Shipyards, tenements, tight-knit communities. Joan grew up confident, ambitious, determined. Eventually, she ended up in London, working in an antique shop in Westbourne Grove, selling old signs, vintage posters, Victorian curiosities. She'd been married before to Ronnie Leahy, a musician in the rock band Nazareth, but that relationship had run its course. By 1976, Joan was living quietly in London, working her shop, keeping to herself. She wasn't looking for fame. She wasn't impressed by money. A blonde-haired, down-to-earth Scottish woman who didn't suffer fools. And that's exactly when Richard Branson walked into her life. In 1976, Richard Branson was 26, building Virgin Records. His marriage to Kristen Tomasi was falling apart. He walked into a small antique shop near his studio, and there was Joan. Richard would later write about that moment, how he made up his mind about people within 30 seconds. With Joan, it took less, but Joan was not impressed. She wasn't dazzled by his money. She thought his dress sense was horrible. She saw through him, and that only made Richard want her more. So he became her most loyal customer. Richard started showing up constantly, buying things he didn't need. Old advertising signs, vintage posters, Victorian bric-a-brac. One favorite purchase? A sign with a pig and hen that read, "Now that's what I call music." It later inspired the Now compilation series, but at the time, he just bought it to impress Joan. It took years, but eventually, Joan started to see him differently. She left Ronnie. Richard left Kristen. They moved in together on Richard's houseboat in Little Venice. And then Richard decided to do something absolutely ridiculous to prove he was serious. He was going to buy her an island. In 1978, Richard contacted a realtor about purchasing a private island in the British Virgin Islands. The asking price was $6 million. Richard offered $100,000. The insulted realtor left them stranded on the island. A year later, Richard bought the 74-acre island for $180,000. He named it Necker Island. But before the fairy tale could begin, tragedy struck. Joan became pregnant. Richard admitted he wasn't ready. Joan left him, deciding to raise the baby alone. But in her 6th month, Joan was diagnosed with appendicitis. The stress triggered premature labor. Their daughter, Claire Sarah, was born 3 months early. She lived for 4 days. The loss devastated them. But it also brought them back together. Richard realized what he'd almost thrown away. And when their next child was born, everything felt different. In 1981, Holly Branson was born, a healthy baby girl who brought light back. Sam Branson was born on 1982. Their family was complete, and in 1983, after 12 years together, Richard and Joan married on Necker Island. As Richard built Virgin into a global empire, Atlantic, Records, Mobile, Galactic, Joan built something more important, a home. She raised Holly and Sam away from the spotlight, kept them grounded, taught them that money didn't define worth. She never gave an interview, not one, not in 50 years. Journalists tried, magazines begged, but Joan always said no. While Richard crossed oceans in hot air balloons and planned trips to space, Joan was the one constant, the anchor, the person who reminded him what actually mattered. In 2013, Holly married on Necker Island. In 2011, Sam did the same. Both children honored their parents' love story by marrying where it all began, and Joan stood in the background, smiling. exactly where she wanted to be. Holly Branson is now 43, a doctor turned wellness advocate, chief purpose and vision officer at Virgin, co-founder of Big Change Charity. Mother to 3, Etta, Artie, and Lola. Sam Branson is 40, actor, producer, founder of Sundog Pictures, environmental activist, married to Isabella Calthorpe, father to Eva Dea and Bluey. Joan was grandmother to 5. She taught them to bake Scottish shortbread, swim in the ocean, spot shooting stars, to value experiences over possessions. Richard and Joan signed the Giving Pledge together. Their joint letter said it perfectly. Stuff really is not what brings happiness. Family, friends, good health, and the satisfaction that comes from making a positive difference are what really matters. On Joan's 70th birthday, Richard wrote, "Joan is my rock, my confidant, and my guiding light. As the saying goes, behind every man there's a great woman. Joan, you are the greatest woman of all." July 2025. Joan turned 80. Richard's birthday tribute was especially emotional, thanking her for being by his side through everything. The family had been gathering more frequently on Necker Island. Holly, Sam, the grandchildren, everyone coming together. Richard's posts about Joan became more frequent, more tender. November 18th, 1 week before her death, a photo of him kissing her head. Everyone needs a Joan in their life. November 24th, the day before. Love this photo of Joan. November 25th, 2025. Richard shared the news. Joan was gone. No cause of death released. Just love, grief, and gratitude in Richard's words. Love you forever, Joan X. Son Sam posted childhood photos, calling her the kindest, most loving, warm, and abundantly generous woman. Holly remained private, as her mother would have wanted, with her family, grieving the woman who taught her everything. Joan Templeman lived 80 years. Born in a working-class home in Glasgow, worked in an antique shop in London, fell in love with a millionaire who bought random objects just to see her smile. She raised 2 children who are now leaders in business and philanthropy, became grandmother to 5, stood beside one of the most famous men in the world, and never once demanded the spotlight. You don't need fame to have influence. You don't need recognition to change lives. Richard Branson built Virgin Records, Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic, billions of dollars, a name recognized worldwide. But Joan built something even more valuable: a family, a home, a partnership that lasted half a century. When Richard talks about his greatest accomplishment, it's never the businesses. It's never the money. It's the 50 years he got with Joan. In his own words, she was his best friend, his rock, his guiding light, his world. The world lost Joan Templeman on November 25th, 2025. But her legacy lives on in her children, her grandchildren, and in every decision Richard Branson makes moving forward. Because behind every great man, there really is a great woman. And for Richard Branson, that woman was Joan. 50 years together, through tragedy and triumph. Through the wild ride of building Virgin, from a record label to a space company. Through raising children and grandchildren on a private island. Joan Templeman chose a life out of the headlines. But her love story with Richard Branson is one for the ages. Rest in peace, Joan. The world may not have known you, but the people who did will never forget you. If this story moved you, leave a comment sharing your thoughts on Joan's incredible legacy. And subscribe for more stories about the remarkable people behind the headlines.